Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy, and we are back with another movie review. I'm Chris, joined once again with Chelsea. You've become a little bit of a regular on the show now, as of the last couple of videos. We went to see Pokémon Detective Pikachu earlier today, and we're going to give our in-depth review on it right now. We're going to start with spoiler-free, and then we'll get into spoilers later on in the review. This is, of course, the latest, well, it's the first ever, actually, live-action Pokemon movie. It's directed by Rob Letterman, and it's based on the 2016 video game of the same name and kind of the Pokemon brand as a whole. We were kind of having a whale of a time watching this movie earlier. We were taken right back to like almost 20 years ago, watching Pokemon for the first time. And just loving that whole thing. So before I show probably the most embarrassing nerdy thing I'm about to ever show on camera, it's this, by the way, get your mind out of the gutter. If you want to talk a bit about your history with Pokemon, because I didn't quite realize until fairly recently how like hardcore you are into Pokemon.
Well, Pokemon for me started probably, I know, I was about 6 years old, so a few years ago now.
Many moons ago.
And it did start with the animated series on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Then I quickly got into trading Pokemon cards in the school playground with my friends, and it was amazing. And at like beginning, I just like looked at the pictures and I thought they looked really cool.
That's like... all I did. That was the extent of my Pokemon trading card like collecting. I just thought they look cool. I still don't know how to play the game. Never knew how to play it.
No. And then I was like, oh, there's some numbers on here. Yeah, cool, all right. But the animals are just like, what do it for me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I want a Pokemon. And then I got into like getting all the accessories, like the backpacks and like the lunch boxes.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't go that deep into
it. And sticker books and stuff like that. So yeah, and it just sort of continued from there, following the TV show, and then like my cousin and my brother got the like Game Boy games, and I used to steal that a few times without them knowing, and just have a little bit of a play, pretending to be a trainer and stuff like that. But yeah, for me, it's the original, the first sort of region in Pokemon that does it for me. And
151.
Yeah. Boy.
I feel you.
And yeah, and then I kind of stuck around for a little bit after that, but I kind of lost interest, I'm not gonna lie.
It went the route of a lot of 90s shows for me. I always go back to Power Rangers because it's the only one like I can think of, but you have your lineup.
Yeah.
Of like you have like that was my Power Rangers, like the original, and that was kind of the same with Pokemon for me. It does go on after that, and it obviously continues to have an audience, and new kids are watching it nowadays. But as an original viewer, it never quite has that same impact, and I was kind of the same way. I stuck with it through Gen 2, and then Gen 3 hit, and that's when I sort of went, I'm kind of done with these now. To the point now where Generation 8 is about to gear up, and we were going through some of the recent Pokemon. Yeah. We knew they were bad. We didn't quite realize how bad they were, but I know this is a review for Pokemon Detective Pikachu, and I promise we'll get back to the review. This is just kind of a Pokemon celebration because we're sort of like riding the high after this movie. Okay, I'm going to show it. Should I show it? I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it. This right here is my original Pokemon card folder that I had. This is authentic. This is vintage. This is what I had back then. These were all the stickers I used to put over it from my sticker book. And there we go. And they're all in there. I can't believe I'm showing these on camera. This is like the nerdiest thing. I hate myself right now. But it's so good. And also, a little bit of street cred, I've got to say this. Shiny Charizard. I got that in my first pack. I was a little bit of a neighborhood celebrity, if you will. But let's get into the movie right now because we've talked about Pokemon enough, and we're going to talk about it some more now. Detective Pikachu. This was such a weird... I remember when the trailer first came out, and I did a trailer reaction to this thing, and actually... I wasn't negative towards it, but I expressed my concerns about Ryan Reynolds. I'm just going to call him Deadpool because that's essentially who he is. Deadpool doing the voice of Pikachu, let alone a talking Pikachu. Just seeing a talking Pikachu, it doesn't even have to have the voice of Ryan Reynolds, but just the fact that Pikachu is talking. And I came down quite hard on that fact. And then I had comments upon comments of people saying like, oh, haven't you played the video game like Detective Pikachu? I was like, I didn't even realize there was a game.
No.
But apparently the talking Pikachu is in that game. I think he has like an old kind of gentleman's voice in the game, which they've just completely done away with in this. And they've just brought in Deadpool because he's popular. So, I mean, if that's what the game's based on, fair enough. What I was taken with, though, immediately, and which is where I'm going to kind of come into this review of what I love the most about this, was the look of the Pokemon and seeing this world, this real world kind of thing with Pokemon interacting with people, because we've always wanted that to happen. You watch Pokemon as a kid, you're like, oh God, I wish I could go outside in my back garden and see like a Pokemon out there. This felt lived in. They felt like, if Pokemon were to be real, these were what they would look like in a real world. I know that people were saying some of them look really scary and terrifying. They would be if they were in a real life context. So seeing, even little things like Pikachu with fur, Charizard with scales, Magikarp with like. By the way, I'm going to be saying the Pokemon names in this. If you don't know what Pokemon is, you're not going to know anything. It'd be like I'm talking in tongues right now or something. Magikarp with like the glistening sort of water texture over it. I loved all that stuff, and I think you liked this movie overall more than I did. Not to say I had a bad time at the film, but I think because I mean, you came out, you was like, I want to go and see it again right now. I want to get it on DVD. I want to get it on Blu-ray. I didn't love the movie as much as you did, but the potential of what was made in this movie, the realized Pokemon, and the potential of what this franchise could become. Not just Detective Pikachu, but just more live-action Pokemon movies. It's a darn sight more impressive than the live-action Sonic trailer that we got. You know what I mean? So, what were your thoughts on the trailers leading up to this thing, and sort of your initial opinions on the movie after seeing it? I may have just told people what they were. But...
Yeah, I think the trailers matched up pretty well with what the movie was like about. You kind of get the gist of it in the whatever minute or so trailer that's been out before this movie came out. I don't know what to say without giving any spoilers.
Yeah, no, that's spoiler free as much as you can say. Did it come close to the, because were you going into this with like mad expectations? Were you keeping an open mind? Were you like, oh, it could go either way? And did it surpass those expectations for you?
Definitely an open mind. Just knowing that there was a talking Pikachu, that was like, oh, where is it gonna go? And I don't know, like, for me, the voice of Pikachu, whether it matched up with the voice that I would have had in mind for Pikachu. I was expecting a bit more of like a squeaky little, maybe more feminine kind of tone going on with what Pikachu would sound like with a human voice. But I think the jokes kind of worked well with what like Ryan like did with the character. So it kind of like it made up for that. Like,
yeah. I think that's a good starting off point actually with this. The plot of this movie, by the way, if you're watching it at this point still, in a world where people collect Pokemon to do battle, a boy comes across an intelligent talking Pikachu who seeks to be a detective. There's a little bit more involved with that in that the main character, played by Justice Smith, his dad has gone missing, and it's kind of not a murder mystery, but a mystery as to his whereabouts and what his dad was working on. And Pikachu comes on board and is sort of that buddy road movie kind of thing where they're trying to find out what's happened to his dad. For me, and I guess this is where sort of like our opinions differ. Like, you love the movie as a whole. To me, the human aspect of this movie was unquestionably the weakest. The writing of the film itself, it felt very on the nose. There's moments where characters talk their actions out loud, and I turned to you and said, like, why would they be saying this to themselves right now? It felt very easy, and I understand that this is a kids movie, so it can't be like this high art, Oscar acclaimed script for the movie or anything like that. But I did think the writing was a little bit weak. What definitely carried it for me though was the Pokemon. And I really did like Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. I was laughing and chuckling a lot as what he was saying. I was just honestly I was just picturing Deadpool saying all this stuff. And I really hope that when Deadpool 3 comes out, there's there's going to be some kind of Pokemon or Pikachu joke in there. I thought he was good. I thought he bought it at the emotional moments. He was funny with his offhanded quips and his sarcasm. There were even a couple of adult jokes thrown in there as well, which I think some of the adults will appreciate if they're dragged to watch this movie, if their kids really wanting to see the new Pokemon movie. There is something in there for everyone. I will say though, if you're not a fan of Pokemon, it's not very accessible. It kind of just says a Pokemon's name and expects you to know what a Mr. Mime is, what a Greninja is, and all these things. And there's some Pokemon in this movie that I don't know by name, that from a much later generation. But if you're not it it's not an effective introduction into the world of Pokemon, I should say. If you're like a similar age to us, if you've watched the show, if you've played any of the Game Boy games, if you know anything about Pokemon, you're going to have a great time at this movie. But yeah, I liked Ryan Reynolds. I'm kind of with you. Would it be the first choice, a voice that I would think of for him? No. Would it be my second, third, or fourth, or fifth choice? Probably not either. But I can see it working. If they had have gone with a more typical, like, cutesy Alvin and the Chipmunks kind of voice, I don't know if it would have the same impact. I think you need that. I think Ryan Reynolds was the anchor of this film where most of the jokes revolved around from, and I don't think they would have had the same impact if it had have been just a regular cutesy voice. I don't know. I can understand your opinion on it though. So what was your opinions on, because I mean you loved all the Pokemon, and we were talking about this, that you really want to get this on DVD or Blu-ray, and just, this is a movie where you're just gonna like freeze frame and pause your way through it.
I just wanted to pause. I was like, hold on, guys. I wanted to, like, the cinema guy to just like stop it every frame, so I could like look around, like pick out who's who and like what Pokemon are appearing. But it's gonna have to be a DVD one for me, I think. Yeah, definitely.
And I said to you, like, I turned midway through the movie. It's usually in the cityscape shots where there's lots of, you know, loads of people, vehicles, and you've got like Pokemon in the background. I wasn't focusing on the characters in the foreground talking where the plot was happening. There's moments where I just, like, for 5 minutes I just drifted out because I was just looking at the background, like little out of focus Pokemon in the background, trying to make out which ones there were. And we were going like, oh my god, it's like, it's a Growlithe, it's an Arcanine, it's Snorlax, look, he's in the background. And that was great, and that was what I had the most fun with this movie. What did you think to the human aspect of this film?
In terms of the actors, like the acting?
In terms of the acting and did you, because that's sort of where the emotional core is of the movie. Yes, it's about, you know, the world of Pokemon, but inherently, what was the name of the main character in this film again? Tim Goodman. He's sort of where the film focuses around in his story. Did you have as much of a connection to that? Were you wrapped up in the whole thing, or was it mostly just the Pokemon aspect, would you say?
It was mostly the Pokemon aspect. Like, I felt I got more emotion out of the Pokemon than Tim. Without giving spoilers away.
Yeah, we can't go into spoilers just yet. We'll move on to it in a second.
Yeah, because I don't know, they're like, I mean, their face is a lot like bigger than like human face, so like their emotions could be like seen more clearly and like more exaggerated, I guess, when things sort of like changed, like in terms of like the atmosphere, when there was like a bit of a sad time, a bit of a happy time, a bit of whatever was going on. But yeah, I don't know. I've never seen this actor before. I don't know, like, if he's been in stuff before or anything like that.
I'm just gonna double check. I think he was in if I remember, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom was the movie I saw him in. He was in Paper Towns as well, but I haven't seen that. So you know, he's a rising star, more or less. I hated his character in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. I know that he was just screaming and hollering the whole movie, which got really annoying very quickly. What else can I say about this movie? I mean, we can say this because this was in the trailer. I can't say how much he's in the film though. JXC's just appeared in the comments, said did not get a notification. That's really weird. I don't know why people aren't getting notifications or anything like that, but hopefully that's all taken care of by the next stream. Mewtwo is in this film. Mewtwo is my favorite Pokemon, as is Charizard, who is also in this film. We can't say how much they're in the movie, but I will say that they give a more of a substantial role to Mewtwo than I was initially expecting from the trailer. I thought it was just going to be like a blink and you'll miss it cameo. He is in the movie a fair bit, and I really appreciated that because I think he is a great Pokemon, and it is kind of going back to like Pokemon, the first movie that came out in '98, where Mewtwo was the focus of that film, which I liked. We'll give overall opinions now, and then we'll get into spoilers because we really need to get into spoilers, I guess. What I appreciated about this movie the most was its world building. There are moments where the film isn't always fast paced. There are moments where it does take a back seat. There's a scene involving like a herd of Bulbasaur, which was one of our favorite moments in the movie, where the film isn't afraid to have those little world building scenes where you do take in the beauty of this world and of Pokemon, and you know, you appreciate them for that. I liked that, and I like the potential of where a future Pokemon live action franchise could go. Me personally, I would love to see like an Ash Ketchum movie, like we see in the TV show, with Team Rocket and Misty, Brock, everything like that. I would like to see that in a live action movie. They wanted to move away from that because they felt like there's about 20 movies out there with Ash. There's however goddamn many TV series with Ash Ketchum as the main hero, and they wanted to do something different. That's fair enough. You're kind of testing the waters with this one. And I hope this makes a little bit more money than it's currently made. It was done on a budget of $150 million, and it's currently made 20.7 opening weekend. Not bad, and it should hopefully at least make that back, maybe make a little bit of profit. But usually with a movie, you look at its budget, you have to then times that by 2 of how much it costs with, marketing and advertisements and everything like that. So hopefully it makes a little bit. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to see many more of these live action versions. And the CGI was really, really solid in this film. I think the effects artist worked on the live action Jungle Book and Lion King movies. And if you've seen the CGI in that, it is top quality stuff. So that's the stuff that I gravitated more towards. That there are moments in there as well where you do get like little bits of music excerpts from the original series and the Game Boy games. You possibly might get the main theme in there somewhere too, in some way, shape, or form. That's the stuff I appreciated the most. As a movie as a whole, the whole human aspect, the writing, and the story was very bog standard. That did kind of let it down a little bit for me. But I still had a really good time watching it as a fan of Pokemon, and that's the power of nostalgia right there. I know you liked it more than me. What would your overall opinions on this movie be? Would you recommend people seeing this film?
Yeah, definitely. It's a good like family film. Like I think the kids will enjoy it, just seeing the animals, Pokemon. The adults will maybe gravitate to all the more like adult jokes and possible themes that I hinted at in there. But I don't know. It was just like an all-round good movie. Like I felt great coming out afterwards and being like, yeah, I want to go and get some Pokemon now.
We actually went to the toy store straight afterwards, didn't we? And went straight to the Pokemon merch afterwards. And it's good when a movie can do that. It's not like one of these, in a world of video game movies, and I mean we keep comparing, but like Sonic the Hedgehog, or even the Transformers movies, where it feels like an absolute slap in the face to the fans because they go in a wildly different direction. You can see that the director and the people making this and the visual effects artists, they love Pokemon, and they've done like a really good job of like getting these up to scratch. So go and check it out. If you're a fan of Pokemon, go and watch it. If you're not a fan of Pokemon, I don't think this will really... Personally, I don't think this will do anything new for you. If you didn't like Pokemon, then you probably still won't like it now. But who knows? Maybe that live action, facade over the movie, that new image of it being live action might have a slightly different impact to you rather than the 2D anime show. Right, we are getting into spoilers now, so you have been warned. If you haven't seen this movie and you do want to check it out, please click off this review right now, go watch the movie and come back. I don't think we're going to go into massive amounts of spoilers now. There's not really that loads to talk about, but we are going to talk about the ending, so you have been warned. Go ahead, you talk about the ending.
The ending?
The ending, or just any part of the movie that you specifically wanted to... any bits that surprised you, or...
Surprise.
Bill Nye's in this movie. That surprised me. I didn't see the cast list before this thing. He's a prominent role in this film.
Ooh, I want to talk about the creepiest bit in there that kind of freaked us both out.
Okay. There's a few bits that come to mind that were the creepiest bits, but there is one in particular. Like I sort of like reached back in my seat. I was like holding on to you like the whole movie. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I think Ditto makes an appearance, and
Ditto does make an appearance. Yep.
There's this woman, and she's not really revealed like who she is. She's kind of like in the background, like a secret agent kind of woman. Just like
she's sort of sent. I don't really know what she's sort of sent out to get things done. She's kind of like the henchwoman.
Yeah,
I guess, but she doesn't really feature in the movie all that much. She's in like a couple of scenes you see her.
Yeah, like I think we first see her in the like Pokemon battle. It's like underground, kind of like this illegal kind of like basement. Everything's like kind of like a cage match, I guess, between the Pokemon. And she appears there and she spots like the main character, is it Tim? And she lets her team know that she's spotted him with the Pikachu that they're looking for. So that's her, and then she kind of like disappears for like a while, and we kind of forget about her. But then I don't know when.
Then something happens which will make you never forget this character. It's during the fight at the end, isn't it?
Yeah,
Where,
fight at the end. Where everything's going down, like, oh my god, and then she appears and she's like, I don't know, she removes her glasses, I think.
Yeah.
And then we notice something that's not quite right about her.
So if you know anything about the Ditto character, you know that Ditto is this little cute pink blob thing that can turn into any Pokemon. Well, the villain behind this movie has done like loads of experimentation on Pokemon. He's trying to make them, you know, supersized, like literally almost like country size, pretty much like the size of a goddamn continent, how big these Pokemon are. Making them evolve super quickly, making them more powerful. And I guess that's sort of gone on to the Ditto as well, because now Ditto can turn into humans. She's essentially like the T-1000 from Terminator 2 at this point. But the thing is with Ditto and how they spot a Pokemon that is a Ditto in the show is that they have these very distinctive black beady little eyes, which is unlike all the other Pokemon that they're copying. That carries over to when she transforms into another human. So you've got this really creepy, like smiley plastic thing with like two like pop Funko dots for eyes, and it's honestly the most haunting thing I've ever seen all year. There are horror films out this year. We've got It Chapter 2, we've got a new Annabelle movie, we've got a new Conjuring movie. None of those will come close to the horror that I witnessed seeing this character. It was like, it gives me nightmares.
Yeah.
Like if I was a kid watching this, that would haunt me. It was like this waxworks mannequin thing with these eyes just like going towards the screen. So that was one of the scariest moments. The other one was the Apom, which are these like little pink monkey things, and they inhale this gas which kind of makes them go a bit crazy. Kind of reminds you of the plot of Zootopia, if anyone knows what I'm talking about, where they go like feral and predator-like. And they reminded me of the Gremlins, and they're kind of rampaging and just like gibbering and everything. They were quite scary. And there was one other bit that I was trying to remember that was a little bit creepy. Oh, where the Greninja are introduced. So Greninja are like these toad-like things with these big long tongues, and they're kind of like ninjas. They can like jump about. They're very agile. But when they're introduced into the movie, it plays like this really screechy horror violin music, and there's so much suspense leading up to them. I was like, oh my god, like what is the director doing right now? Like, this is pretty cool.
Is this still a PG?
Right. I think we just need to talk about Mewtwo right now, don't we?
Okay.
Mewtwo is kind of the unofficial villain / ultimate good guy of the movie. Mewtwo's in the movie a lot more than I thought he was. He's in the opening scene. Like, we get that scene from the first Pokemon movie where he's in the cloning tank, and he like bursts out of it and destroys the factory. That's the opening scene of the movie. And we're under the impression that Mewtwo is the one that kills the main character's dad. But later on in the movie, we find out he was actually trying to save his dad. And this is where the plot kind of just goes like completely out the window and gets really, really ridiculous, but kind of awesome and hilarious at the same time. So Bill Nye is this like rich, old, evil white guy. And you're meant to believe that he's the villain, but then they kind of pass it off. No, his son is the villain. But then at the end, it cycles back around and goes, no, actually, the old, evil white guy who's rich is also still the bad guy. And he wants to transmit his consciousness into the body of Mewtwo. So he has this huge, powerful body. But then he also wants to make everyone in the city, like, their consciousness transmit it into a Pokemon. So that's his evil plot. And he thinks that this will help people reach their potential if they turn into a Pokemon. Which is cool if your consciousness goes into the body of, say, a Gyarados, a Charizard, a Mewtwo. What if your body goes into the body of an Oddish? Or so you'd love that because you love Oddish, but like, you know, like or an Execute or whatever they're called, you know, or a Diglett. You're not really hitting your potential, are you, if you get shortchanged into that? So, I mean, the plot at this point doesn't make sense. You're just kind of watching it. But at least we get to see Mewtwo sort of like fly around at the end and be essentially the villain, which was really cool. I love the design of Mewtwo. I love the design of all the Pokemon. And then I guess you can talk about the big reveal, which you actually predicted at the very end of the movie. Oh, I've got to say, there's a moment in the movie, it's ripped straight out of Batman 1989, Tim Burton. Bill Nye has got that gas I was telling you about, like that makes all the Pokemon feral. He's got that in balloons during a parade that he plans to unleash on everyone. It's exactly like the ending of Batman '89, which was like it's plagiarism. It is like there's no way around it, but it was cool. But yeah, so you predicted the very end, or at least a reveal that we were going to get in the movie. If you want to talk about that,
okay. So there's all this like idea that Tim's dad isn't actually dead, but then they're like, well, what's happened to him? And I think, did he actually die? Or it was about, he was kind of...
That's what I thought. He died, yeah, in the crash, because he's flung from the car, isn't he?
Yeah. So he actually dies, but he's with his Pikachu. And Mewtwo is there at the scene. And he's like, oh, but Pikachu, you're going to die too. So what I'm going to do is transfer the dad into you so that you can continue to live the dad inside.
Mewtwo is like Jesus in this movie.
Yeah.
He is like this demigod figure. I talked about the voice as well. Like the voice, like Mewtwo's before he becomes like weird Bill Nye version of Mewtwo. He's got like this male and female voice like crossed over. Like this weird audio mix, which was actually like really otherworldly. Yeah, so Ryan Reynolds turns out to be the main character's dad, Tim's dad. Which you didn't predict that he was going to be his dad, but you did predict that Ryan Reynolds was going to show up
Pikachu.
at
yeah. Because we never see the dad's face. He's always like in the scenes. He's always like kind of like masked in shadow, or like in the death scene. He's like face planting the floor.
Yeah.
So you never actually noticed that. Oh, it could be.
I should have predicted that. So Pikachu essentially is Tim's dad. It's like the consciousness of his dad. I should have predicted that something like that would happen. I thought we were going to get a reveal at the end. I thought his dad was going to show up and like be the real villain behind it all, or something like that. I didn't know they were going to go that far and make Pikachu his dad. What do you feel about that? Do you think that was earned? Do you think that was a good reveal at the end, or do you think it was a little bit strange? Because even when they're together, for me, I didn't really get this sense of this father and son bonding. Even when you've got Ryan Reynolds on screen, I don't know if it's a fact that, I mean, have I ever seen him play a dad before? I probably have in something, but I can't recall it. It just didn't seem like there was that kind of connection there. And I don't know if that's because throughout the movie, we get more of a friends connection, like a best buddy connection. And then at the end, it changes the dynamic completely and it's a father and son thing. Or do you think that's believable because the characters haven't had that father and son dynamic together?
I think when you take that into context, like, yeah, I guess because the kid growing up, he doesn't live with his dad, so he doesn't really know his dad. He doesn't know who he is or anything like that, really. And plus, he gets his mind, like, erased when the dad becomes Pikachu. So the Pikachu doesn't have any idea about his son or anything like that. So I'm guessing it could be believable, but then, I don't know. He didn't, I don't know.
It makes it weird moving forward now, because essentially at the end of the movie, we have Ryan Reynolds extracted from Pikachu, and we've got Ryan Reynolds there, so he's being dad to Tim, and Pikachu is now just back to a regular normal Pikachu, a cutesy Pikachu, and that's it. That's the end of your movie. So if you make a sequel now, do you just have it being Ryan Reynolds in human form in the movie with Tim and a cute Pikachu? Do you find some kind of way to get Ryan Reynolds' consciousness back into Pikachu? I think a lot of the success of this movie and what people are really enjoying about this movie is having Ryan Reynolds be the voice of Pikachu, because it's so completely outlandish. It's kind of amazing. If you lose that concept in the second one, which I think is a big, as I said, like a big reason for this success, I don't know how well you're going to recapture that magic of this film unless they can think of some reason, some way they can get around it. I don't know. I mean, they've already said that they've got an idea for a sequel in mind, but I guess, money talks in the movie business. If this movie makes a considerable loss and it doesn't make much of a profit, then they probably won't pursue any more of these live action Pokemon movies. I don't know. I don't even know if I necessarily want a sequel to Detective Pikachu. Do I want another live action Pokemon? hell yeah, I do. Like, just the sky's the limit with this thing. You can literally do so much, whether you do, like another spin-off like this, whether you base it on the original show. Go nuts with it, but keep the visual effects team on board with these Pokemon. Like, as long as they keep these designs of the Pokemon, I'm happy. I don't think we have anything else to talk about. Oh, what was with the weird Home Alone scene?
Oh, yes.
So whose apartment was it? Was it
the dad's apartment?
So they go to So this is towards the beginning of the film when Pikachu's first introduced. Tim goes back to his father's apartment and he walks in, and the Angels with Filthy Souls scene from Home Alone is playing. Too bad AC ain't in charge no more. That bit. And then he gets like the remote and turns it off on the TV and goes like, "Oh, enough of these detective movies." I'm like, since when was Home Alone a detective movie? But again, like, Home Alone came out in the 90s, didn't it? So there's like a whole 90s theme going on with this movie with that, and the fact that it's a Pokemon film. But that was weird. Like, I don't know why they put that in the movie. What else can we talk about? Is there anything? Dopinder from Deadpool is in this movie at the beginning. So I don't know if that was Ryan Reynolds sort of getting his best friend in the door kind of thing, like, oh yeah, get this guy like a short little cameo in the film. He's in the opening scene and then he is not in the rest of the movie, which I thought was a little strange. I thought we'd get to see him a little bit more. I don't know. I think we've pretty much said everything.
What Pokemon were like you most amazed to see on screen?
Oh shit, okay. So if they had have kept Mewtwo out of the trailers, I would say Mewtwo, but because I knew he was going to be in the movie, I can't really say that. Honestly, it was Gyarados. Like, I was really hoping, like, I'd seen that Magikarp was in the film, and when I saw Magikarp, I was like, come on, you got to give me Gyarados. And they do, and it's a very short scene, but it looks so fucking cool on screen. I'm going to say Gyarados, I guess. What about you?
Mine was Togepi. It's in it for like, I don't know, like 5 seconds, but I was like, oh my god, I can see it. So cute. I love all the cute ones.
I like some of the there are some pretty good sight gags in this movie as well. Like, there's Octillery, which is this octopus Pokemon that you saw in the background, and it's like working at a sushi store. You said it was like
similar to Monsters Inc. Like in the restaurant at like the octopus like chopping up the sushi.
You've got like a Charmander holding like a wok, frying something up with its tail, and the flames like light in the bottom of the pan. Loads of little things that you'd like blink and you'd miss it in the background, but that's like the attention to detail and the sight gags, and I really appreciate stuff like that. Cool. Loudred as well, that's got the 2 subwoofers for ears, and there's like this underground Pokemon like fighting ring kind of thing, and they supply the music and they're doing like the beatbox music for it. That was cool. The dubstep music even.
Yeah. But the Bulbasaur. There's like a herd of Bulbasaur.
Go on, talk about the Bulbasaur scene. Go on.
So like there's where should we go? There's kind of like a near-death experience for Pikachu in this movie. And it all gets real sad. And like Tim's like, no, what are we gonna do? And they're just like, they're stuck in the middle of nowhere. There's no like Pokemon Center around, and also there's no mention of like Pokemon Centers, I don't think.
No, there isn't in this one, is there?
No.
We were expecting that, because when they said there's a Pokemon out there that's going to heal you, I was like, the index of Pokemon encyclopedia that I had memorized in my head as a kid, that, I mean, we all still remember the 151 and all their abilities and shit like that. I was like, which Pokemon heal people? And I was like, I couldn't think of one. We both thought of Chansey, but we only thought of that because they're in the Pokemon Center. They don't actually heal anything.
No, they were out in the wild. There was no other like civilization around, and then there's just like little cute Bulbasaur just appears from behind the rock, and you're like, oh my god. It's so cute.
You completely like, you were almost crying like seeing these Bulbasaur. Like, and for me, if you go with the original starters, I always hated Bulbasaur. I was like, Bulbasaur's boring as fuck. Like, Charmander's great, Squirtle's great, Pikachu's awesome, Bulbasaur, what can it do? Vine Whip, oh great, like stop the presses.
But I felt like more emotion was coming out of the Bulbasaur than the actor, which is what I was talking about earlier before like the spoiler thing came into it. But so this Bulbasaur crawls along and it sees like Pikachu kind of like on its deathbed, and he's like, whoa, okay. And then like from out of nowhere, a few more pop around the corner. And we're like, oh my god.
And this is what I mean. Like they did such a good job of making them feel like real creatures, didn't they? And
Yeah.
honestly, like I'm a fan of
Aw.
Bulbasaur now. After watching this movie, I am now a fan of Bulbasaur. It was really, really cute. So
And
Jay,
then they all come along, don't they? And then they're like guiding Tim, carrying Pikachu, sort of. I don't know where they go. Like,
so they go through like
between,
this
like,
ravine, don't they?
Yeah.
To like this old cave, and there's like this stone tablet, and it felt very ancient and very. So I thought we were going to get Mew. I thought Mew was going to show up like the original Mew, you know, and everything like that, and Mew was going to heal him. But it's just Mewtwo, and Mewtwo kind of shows up, and that's what I kind of said to you. I don't know if it was before we went live or if it was after we saw the movie. Mewtwo just kind of does what the movie needs him to do in this. It was like, we need to transmit someone's consciousness between bodies. Mewtwo can do it. We need someone to heal another Pokemon. Bring Mewtwo back, and like he can do that. So there's a lot of things that Mewtwo can do in this film. Whether he can do those in the original, I can't remember. I know he has the ability to wipe people's minds and memories because he does that at the end of the first movie. But yeah, JXC's just talked about the Mr. Mime scene. I thought that was great. That gets really dark, actually, which I really, really appreciated. I wanted that scene to be a bit longer. I thought they could have gone longer with that, but you know, that's fair play. No scene really outstays its welcome. He's also asked us, would either of you eat a Charizard? What other Pokemon would you eat?
What would they taste like?
A Charizard? I imagine, would it taste like crocodile?
I've eaten crocodile before, and I liked crocodile. So if that was similar, then yeah, why not?
Is it like chicken? Is it? It's like lean?
This is going to be like a gross description, but it's kind of like fishy chicken.
Fishy chicken.
Fishy chicken.
Fishy chicken. What Pokemon would I eat? See, I'm trying to think of all the different Pokemon, and there's so many. Torchic? Maybe not. Maybe not Torchic. I'll wait till it like gets to like the second or third evolved form. Oh no, it goes into Blaziken, doesn't it? Eating a Blaziken would be weird. Does it go into Blaziken? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah. I don't know. Some kind of poultry Pokemon. I'm rather partial to chicken. I'm sorry to every vegan watching this, but
Pidgey.
Pidgey. Oh yeah, Pidgeotto. No, that might be. No, that'd be like scratty meat, wouldn't it? It'd be like Spearow or something like. Ooh, no. Give me the prime cuts, please. I can't eat Tauros. I know the cows. I know the herded, but it reminds me too much of buffalo. I can't do that.
Oh.
That's the Native American in me. I just can't do it. I don't have I probably don't have probably like 0.1% of Native American if I have any. I don't have any Native American in me.
Oh my god, where's your book? I want to see what Pokemon.
Go on. Okay, right. Oh no, all my cards are falling off. Okay.
Let's have a look.
This is an interesting question, by the way. Get more of your questions coming in. I wouldn't eat any of the bug Pokemon.
No.
I wouldn't eat Rattata. Oh god, can you imagine that?
Ooh, this is quite hard.
Because you've got to think about. We're looking at them as 2D drawings right now. Like I'm looking at Sandshrew, which looks cute, but that would be kind of a brittle, stony, really sandy, abrasive. Yeah, no.
Imagine trying to cut through. It's like hard out of skin. See,
Clefable looks tasty because that looks like a raw chicken or like a pig or something. You know what I mean? Just like.
Oh.
What else would we eat? We're done with the review, by the way. Now, guys, we're genuinely gonna like just try and like go through this question. We're only gonna do the 151.
Just, like, deciding our dinner tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, duck tastes good, so Psyduck.
Yeah, I think he mentioned Psyduck.
Make a Psyduck van. It's Psyduck that's been run over by a van. Nice Blackadder reference, by the way. What else? Come on. I mean, if you're a plant-based eater, if you're a vegan, you could go for a Victory Bell, a Weeping Bell, a Bellsprout, something like that.
Horse meat?
I was going to say the whole horse meat scandal thing. You could go for, you know, if you're a sushi fan, if you're a seafood fan, go for like a tentacle. There really is something for everyone. Crabby, there you go. I like crab. I like seafood. Let's go for that. I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna get a plate of crabby, and for a starter, I'm gonna get some Pidgey wings. Ooh. Sounds pretty good to me. Would Bulbasaur be vegetarian or vegan? Well, I guess he's.
Hmm.
That's probably in the lore somewhere. That's go on Bulbapedia. It probably tells you on there. I think it'd be a vegetarian,
Yeah.
right? Because he's kind of like he's like a little mini dinosaur frog thing. So I'd expect to eat like bugs, maybe. I don't know.
So that wouldn't be vegetarian, would it?
That's a good point. That's a
Oh.
good point. Yeah, but
He's a carnivore.
I don't know. Watch the cartoon series is what I will say, and you'll probably get that answer. We've been on this for long enough. We'll round off now. You can answer that question if you want. Would you fuck Mr. or Mrs. Mime?
No.
Would you have to fuck them in like
It'd
mime
have to be
form?
mime,
Like, is that how you would have to do it? Why am I thinking? We're gonna end this now. This is getting into weird. JX, you made this weird. You made this so fucking weird. Okay.
I could talk about Pokemon all day.
So could I. We should do like just like a random Pokemon hype video. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on Pokemon Detective Pikachu?
Go and see it. It's great. It's just good all like round film for everybody. It was a couple of hours long, so
just shy of 2 hours, I think. So
a good sort of afternoon Saturday trip when it's raining outside and you're like, oh, what can I do? It'd be great to see it. I don't know. It's just something for everyone. Yeah,
it moved at a good pace. Like it didn't drag or anything like that. It got in, got out. As, no pun intended from that whole fucking Mr. and Mrs. Mime thing. I had fun with it. It wasn't a great movie in terms of its plot or characters or anything like that, but I do love the look of the Pokemon. The Pokemon scenes are what carried it for me, and looking out in the background and looking out for particular Pokemon if you can see them, and hearing some of those original themes play again was really what won me over. And it's the first, I should have said this as well, it's the first Pokemon film to get a theatrical distribution since Pokemon 3, which I went to see when it came out, and that was 19 years ago. I am still sat here right now watching Pokemon, getting my Pokemon cards out, and having a great time talking about Pokemon. When the trailers first hit and said the worldwide phenomenon that is Pokemon, that is true. Like when you were talking about the playground with the Pokemon cards, I mean, there was a point where everyone was talking about Pokemon. When Pokemon Go first came out, everyone was playing it. Like there were hordes of people at the parks and the towns and the cities playing this game. And I know it still does have a fan base and people still play it, but those first couple of months, you know, it still definitely does have an impact, especially on people our age. But yeah, we could talk about Pokemon all the time, but we've been talking for a very long time on this review. Thank you to JXC for tuning in and giving us some very random questions to answer for you. What will I be seeing next? What comes out this month? I know that I've got Godzilla, there's Aladdin, and I think there's something else, something big coming up. And John Wick, yes, thank you. My most anticipated movie of 2019 is out next week. John Wick 3 Parabellum. I will be at that. I cannot wait for that. And there'll be some more trailer reactions as well coming out. JXC, are we on for the show this weekend? Yes, probably Sunday. I will be on JX's channel to review Star Wars The Phantom Edit. Every 2 weeks we review a fan edit. I still need to get it watched, but tune in for that if you want to see more of me. If you're not tired of me talking about movies on this channel, I talk about fan edits on that channel. Thank you to you for joining me on this review as well.
You're welcome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think we did a very good job, and we'll see you guys on the next video.
Bye.